Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm happy to welcome you to this August event in May or in April, right? Like they say, you're welcome to the August event in April. So we're happy that you could join us. We're excited that you chose to use or spend your Saturday morning with us. Can someone please tell me if they see a recording sign? Okay,
No.
so we are recording. Okay. So again, we're excited that you're here with us. Thank you so much for helping me confirm that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker, but before I do that, I would like to introduce our organization, and that's the body that sponsors these webinars. Give me a minute to share my slides. All right. So again, welcome to Parenting Resources and Initiatives. Welcome to our webinar for today, Saturday, April 25th. The title of the webinar is Self-Care for Caregivers, Self-Care for Caregivers. And I know you might say, oh, I'm not a caregiver. I don't have aging parents. I don't have anybody that's sick. But each one of us, in one way or another, we are caregivers. Either you're caring for your children, your adopted or biological children, or you have siblings that you are the older sibling. Sometimes you're even the younger sibling and you are responsible for them anyway. Sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's friends, loved ones that, that are just not there and you are kind of watching over them. You are their support system in one way or the other. So that's the broad definition of being a caregiver. And, to the extent that we take on these roles in addition to our regular plate that is already full, it can sometimes take a toll. Most often or more often than not, it takes a toll on us. So today we are looking at the topic self-care for caregivers. Like I said, this is sponsored by Parenting Resources and Initiatives. Who are we? We're a faith-based non-denominational organization. We're committed to helping parents fulfill their God-given role of raising well-rounded children. And our vision is to enable thriving families with excellent parent-child communication in a conducive environment so that a child's potentials can be maximized. We have found out, and research supports that if the communication in the home is efficient and effective, that's already more than half of the problem solved. And then when the environment is conducive for a child, there's peace, there's safety, there's joy, naturally each child will thrive. So that's our focus. So our mission is to encourage, to support, and to provide resources for parents to raise children who will be spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally sound. So today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest speaker, and her name is Dr. Temi Babatunde. She's a clinical psychologist. She has a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Denver's Graduate School of Professional Psychology. She previously earned a PhD in public health from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, I hope I said that well, in South Africa in 2020. And her research focused on child and adolescent mental health care services in low-resource districts. She's passionate about infant, early childhood, child and adolescent mental health, as well as caregiver well-being. And she has two lovely babies. So you know that when she's talking about caregiving, she's walking the journey herself. So please put your hands together virtually and help me give a round of applause to Dr. Botemi. Dr. Botemi, we're glad to have you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Principal. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Good morning.
Welcome.
And thank you for taking out the time to come join as we learn together. Because this is not just going to be me sharing. I truly invite you to be co-facilitators, co-presenters, today, because your lived experiences matters more than what we have in the books or matters more than what research says. Lived experiences are actually the real deal. And I just really want us to have, real conversations today. And so, Auntie, this might not just be the typical webinar that you're all hoping for, because I truly want to hear from people, and I also truly want to learn from people. Please let me know if I'm clear enough. I have the tendency to use my soft voice, but I will try very much to project this morning. I will share my screen quickly. Try to see. Okay. Am I sharing my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your
Okay.
screen clearly.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like we know, and you had mentioned earlier that we're talking about self-care for caregivers, but I had it, from survival to sustainable wholeness and protecting your capacity, identity, and your true self. Um, so I came up with this quote: caring for others requires caring for yourself, because love that is only poured outward will eventually run dry. I love you, but I must love me more. I must take breaks, seek support, and remember I am not alone. Caregiving should never require me to disappear in order for someone else to survive. I'd like to take a detour here. I got into psychology because of the experiences of people I saw around me while I was growing up. I was a very young child and, still at that phase of just deciding what I would be in the future, like every young girl would. And I remember having this conversation with my dad one of the days and I told him that I really want to be in a profession. I really wanted to do something that would help people and care for people and nurture people. And then, I mean, the only profession that came to mind at that point in time, or maybe two, was either to be a medical doctor or to be a nurse. Because those were like the prominent caregiving profession that were obvious to me as a child at that point in time. And then I grew up and went to university. And I mean, for people who are familiar with the educational system back in Nigeria, did the WAHEC, did JAM and more, and then got into school. And I had applied for, my first choice was medicine, and then my second choice was nursing. And then I got into school and I was admitted into zoology. I remember I cried so much that no, I would not be able to achieve my life purpose, doing this course. And then the first year went by very quickly. And then at the end of first year, I had to take physics again because I'd failed physics. And then I went back home and I told my dad, like, I don't want to retake this course. Um, I'd rather stay at home, write another jam, get into school again, and really study what I truly wanted to. And I had forgotten completely. My dad reminded me and said, what other course could you transfer to such that you wouldn't have to stay at home for a year? And then I said, I don't know. And then he said, I remember you once told me about psychology, that if you don't become a doctor or a nurse, you could be a psychologist. And right there, I remembered, like, wow. And what brought us to that conversation of psychology that day with my dad was that I had seen the stress, the overwhelm, the sadness in the face of one of my aunties that is very close to him that visits us. Um, if that child was going to have a right diagnosis right now, he would be given the autism diagnosis. But at that point, there was no resources, there was no diagnosis, and this mom was navigating it with so much pain and overwhelm. The joyful hands that I used to know became very, very depressed in our appearance. And it just, as a child, if I remember my age, I'll probably be a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old at this point where I'm describing to you. But I could pick it up. And each time I saw her, my heart would break. And it was that point where the passion for caregivers was ignited within me. And I truly wanted a profession that could hold both, the caregivers and people that they are caring for. And so, what is caregiving to me? And how do we even know caregiving? Caregiving is the act of providing physical, emotional, and other practical support to someone who is unable, or even to people who are unable to fully care for themselves or meet, particular needs for themselves. Might be due to age, due to illness, due to disability, due to their work, their profession, due to other life circumstances or limitations. What are the types of of caregiving that came to mind while I was, preparing for this presentation? I thought about parenting, which is one of the biggest one that, we often talk about. And I think that would be the most relevant to us today on the score. I also thought about caring for aging parents. I thought about supporting a partner or even caring for a partner. I thought about caregiving for people who have disabilities or who are chronically ill. And I thought about professional caregiving. This is where our profession as teachers, as nurses, doctors, as as many caregiving roles or professions that we could assume this is where it falls. And then we think about the community. When Auntie Bola was introducing the webinar this morning, she talked about, oh, you might not even have a child you're caring for right now. Your children may be grown up and they're no longer with you, or you're just not in a caregiving role for somebody who's, who has a disability, or somebody who's chronically sick or ill, but you have this responsibility for your community. There are people that, look up to you. There are people that you're looking out for every now and then. You also fall in this category of caregivers. But a big question that I want us to ask ourselves this morning is, why am I caring? Why am I caring for the people I am caring for? What is the reason? Why? For parenting, I thought about love and attachment because I truly love my children and I want them to grow this healthy attachment. I want them to see life as beautiful through my lens. I am using myself as a tool to teach them about life. Number two, I thought about, I am compassionate. I see the sufferings of people around me and I truly empathize with them. And so I put myself, or situation puts me in that place to care for them because of my heart, the nature of my heart. I cannot just watch people, be overwhelmed around me and not stand up to help. And I also thought about responsibility and roles. Caregiving could just be that it is what we find ourselves in. Like, I just found myself doing this. There's no other option for me but to do this. And then I thought about faith, I thought about calling, I thought about values. And I think I would also input culture here and even into some other points there. But think about it as, oh, I have been called to love others. I have been called to take care of others when I think about faith. And my values also, like I shared with empathy and compassion. It's just part of me. It's just, a value that I hold dearly, to love, to care, and to give of myself to other people. And then I thought about identity and meaning. And you would see that I had coded this in red, and it's very intentional because I really want us to, go deep into this as we talk about, self-care for caregivers today. Identity and meaning. Well, this is all about me. This is how I know myself. This is what I am best at doing. Um, my life is all about caregiving. I cannot separate myself from my role as a caregiver. And then there is the conditioning and learned pattern part of it to say that our background, our training, our early childhood experiences, or growing up, the way that we were trained is to think about caring for other people and not even necessarily checking with ourselves if this is what I really want to do or this is what I have been conditioned to do. I am a first child. I am a first girl. I I am the only one who has achieved these milestones. And so it automatically places me in the role of a caregiver because of all those things that I am or that I have. And then I thought about necessity and our perceived or our perceived lack of alternatives. Oh, and the classic adverts that we grow up of Dettol soap, I'm in Nigeria listening to, is if I don't take care of them, who will? I have sat in front of caregivers who will tell me nobody else will take care of those responsibilities. Nobody else will take care of them. But is that truly our truth? Is that the true um um representation of the situation, or is it perceived that if you don't stand up to that responsibility, no one else can do it? And so I want us to begin to engage with this thought in our minds as we go on, that identifying the reason why I am caring is very important. Am I caring because I truly love and I truly want to teach other people how to love, which is what attachment is? Is it empathy or compassion or the values that I carry that endears me to this responsibility or roles that I assume in the place of caring for others? Is it about my faith, my calling, values like I mentioned earlier? Is caregiving, intertwined, or is my identity shaped by my role, by my caregiving role? Is also another thing. Like, can I see myself? Can I separate myself from the caregiving role? Have I been conditioned in my mind because of the things I am, or because of the person I am, or because of the things I have to this role of caregiving? Or do I just assume that nobody else will be able to do the things that I am doing for other people because I am a pro at it? Why am I caregiving? This morning, I would like to reframe self-care. What is self-care? The act of being intentional about caregiving for yourself. That's how I would want to define it this morning. That self-care is not, just the things that we have heard people say that we have told people to do ourselves, or things that we have conditioned ourselves to do as ways to care for ourselves. But it's the intentional act of choosing yourself, over and over, continuously choosing yourself, feeling yourself, so that you will be whole and be present for other people. We'll talk about this in the following slide. We have heard about traditional self-care practices around, oh, rest, take a break, take a time off, go somewhere, take yourself out, buy things for yourself, listen to podcasts, yoga, talk to someone, join a support group, go for walks, exercise. Don't be too hard on yourself. These are things that we have heard constantly over and over and over. And when we think about self-care, we think about the practices. Oh, maybe I need to go take care of myself. I need to, have my own time to probably go to the salon or probably get a pedicure, a manicure, or do something, to feel myself. These are all good practices for self-care. But I just don't want to dwell on the physical part of self-care today. I want to speak to our hearts. I want to speak to our soul this morning about truly imbibing that culture of choosing yourself, because that is what self-care is to me. Caregiving reality, the to-do list is always endless. Um, there is always something to do for the kids. There is always something to do for another person. There is always particularly people who are also in the caregiving profession. You are caregiving at home, you are caregiving at work. There is ministry also where you are constantly providing caregiving for people. And do we ever take time to pause and ask, where am I in the midst of all of this? There is always that continuous emotional labor, that comes with caregiving. Oh, there is so much expectation placed on us as individuals. This person wants a part of you, another person wants a part of you. Then there is family demanding for a part of you. And then you feel like, how much am I? How much do I even have that I am sharing in this different, in these different places? And then there is hunger that is building up. There is resentment that we cannot label. There is overwhelm that we don't pay attention to. And all of those things build up over time. And so, as much as I think about the physical consequence of, or the physical impact of caregiving, sleeplessness, and all of that, I also think about the emotional part of caregiving that we often don't call out. Responsibilities never end. As you attending to one, another comes up. There is a call, somebody calling you for help. There is a text message, somebody tracking you down for help. That responsibility is never ending. And so if we just focus on, I'll take 5 minutes a day to, practice mindfulness. I would sit down and take deep breath every day. But then the text message is waiting for you after you're done with that practice. Is that sustainable? Is my question to us this morning. Or do we rather work on a model for ourselves that even as I am caregiving, I am intentional about taking care of myself also? We need a deeper self-care, internal, structural, and intentional, feeling your real emotions, bringing it to life, that this is how I feel. And it is valid. It is your reality, owning up to it to say, I feel overwhelmed right now. I do not feel like talking to anyone right now. I just want my peace. It is okay to admit that for yourself. It's okay to admit your own needs also. That as much as you are a caregiver and almost everyone look up to you as their caregiver, you have needs too. And how are you getting those needs met? Are you intentional about meeting your own needs as much as you are meeting other people's needs? And letting go of perfection. I can do all things. Oh, yes, scripture tells us that I can do all things, through Christ who strengthens me. But also accepting that I have limitation is part of self-care. I use this analogy a lot in my work with caregivers and parents. And I often bring up those pictures at every point that I have the opportunity to. And this is for me to teach the essence of self-care, of paying attention to ourselves. Think about the wine at the very top of this glass, and think about the first glass, and think about its connectedness, the connection it has to these other glasses that are underneath it. If this glass does not have a source, then it will stop flowing. And the best thing that can be done is that the glass on the top would then have to pour itself out into other people and then become empty. And so you cannot pour from an empty cup. Self-care isn't selfish. It is survival. It is you finding a source for yourself, filling yourself up first, because that is when you can then pour into other people. And I hope that we truly get the lesson from this image and apply it to our own realities, as caregivers. That if I don't find a source for myself that constantly pours into me, then you have two options. Stop pouring into people and just retain what you have. Or you pour what you have into other people and become empty. And then what happens to your values? What happens to that compassion that you have for people? It will stop flowing because you don't have it anymore. But if you find a source that keeps pouring into you, then you can keep extending that love, that compassion, that are your values that you constantly graciously extending to other people. Another analogy that I love to use is putting on the oxygen mask on you first. when we get into a plane and we're about to fly, and the air hostesses are, giving they are like giving us instructions and they are showing us what to do. There is one salient thing that they say all the time, that in a case of emergency, make sure that you put your own oxygen mask on yourself first before you even think about the child next to you or even any other person that you need to care for. And so putting on your oxygen mask first means that you are preparing yourself or making room to expand your own capacity to problem solve. When you are not able to breathe, how do you attend to other people? And so securing your own oxygen mask gives you the advantage of, breathing easily. I could say that, so that you can then attend to other people. So bigger and better capacity to problem solve. Number two, you have more bandwidth to care for others. You model self-care also because you have shown them that I need to put the oxygen mask on myself first before I can then put it on you. So you're modeling that self-care, you're modeling coping, and you're modeling resilience to other people. And then there is less burnout because while you're caring for others, you haven't left yourself out. You're caring for yourself also. There is this quote also that I have here. It says, you're no use to anyone if you're running on empty. Caring for yourself first is often the best thing you can do in order to help others. It isn't selfish or self-centered because you're of no good use if you are not intentional about your own oxygen mask first. And so this morning, I want us to think about self-care, caregiving as a system and not just as you. I'm trying to see how I can put this, that we see it as a system and not a singular thing that you do. I really want us to come to a place where we can conceptualize caregiving. Look at yourself at the center. You are the caregiver, the center of the system. When you're supported, the whole system works better. Think about the people that you are caring for, family, loved ones, friends, and other people that you're involved in their care. And when you think about the system, that you're not just doing the tasks, but you're a part of the system with many connected pieces. And I mean that we are sharing this responsibility. Though I might be at the center of the system, but I want to create a balance. I want to create a system whereby everyone is empowered and we are in this loop of, caring for one another in one way or the other. Think about your daily needs, managing appointments for yourself and for other people, medications, routine, meals, hygiene, cleaning, making the place orderly, your daily living. These needs are interconnected. You are navigating, you're thinking about school runs, you're thinking about healthcare, booking appointment, talking to different professionals. You're thinking about resources and services, and all the other systems around you. You're thinking about your environment, your physical environment, and your own emotional environment also, home, work, and the community. You're thinking about creating a safe space for everybody to grow. And you are thinking about communication also. Oh, how do I have open, honest and compassionate communication within the system to keep it running, to keep it efficient, to reduce stress and misunderstanding? And think about you also as a part of that system, your health, your emotions, the need for rest, the need to, ensure your own well-being. All of these are essential. Again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so take a pause this morning and think about everything that you're juggling at the same time. And think about it from a system standpoint. We are familiar with systems. We talk about systems at work. We talk about systems everywhere we go to. Now, this is a system for you. If you can have a visual representation of this for yourself, who are the people? What are the daily needs? Where do you need to communicate? Where are the resources and services? Where is your environment? And where is you as a person? A strong system supports everyone. When one part is overwhelmed, the whole system feels it. When we work together, everyone thrives. You don't have to do this alone. Build your system, care for yourself, and strengthen the whole system. So think about self-care, about you being intentional, about empowering and strengthening your system, that you are not creating a dependent system, but you are creating an empowered system that can function effectively as a whole. But it starts with you. It starts with you modeling that. If you don't model that, then there is every tendency that you are teaching, whether directly or indirectly, your system to depend on you. And no one, not one single person can carry a system, and that system will function effectively. You need everyone who's part of that system to stand up and take on roles and responsibilities. Now let's talk about the circle of a caregiver's strain. I've talked about emotional labor. You are pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. You get to a point where you get burdened, you get overwhelmed, and then it is, at the end of it is burnout. That is inevitable, if we continue this loop of emotional labor. You're managing your emotions, you're managing other people's emotions. Oh, mommy, somebody hurt my feelings. I am sad. And you're trying to help, that child feel better. And you also carrying your own sadness. And you feel like, who can I call and talk to about my own sadness? You are there problem solving for everybody. You're trying to stay calm for everybody, but there is no calmness within you. There is a turbulence within you. But you present that calm front for the sake of other people that you are caring for, but you are carrying that emotional labor. And then there is that emotional burden. You're carrying the weight. Oh, mommy will make you feel better. Don't worry, mommy's here. You take it away from them. Or what is that thing that is making you sad? It's fine, I'll fix it. You had it onto yours. And so you carry it on your back like that man in the image. And then you walk with your bent back everywhere. Inside you're bending, but outside you're putting on that front to say, I am standing strong. But are you truly standing strong? The ongoing emotional load builds up. You feel overwhelmed. And the one that, that I am often afraid of is the resentment that comes with it, that we often do not label. Because it is difficult to say that you resent your children. It is difficult to say that you resent your spouse. It is difficult to say that you resent your siblings. It is difficult to say that you resent, the people that owed you in that place of a caregiver. And so you're just like, no, it's not resentment. I'm just tired. It's not resentment. I'm just overwhelmed. But truly, if you're going to label it, you put resentment on it. And then you get very irritable. You snap at every, slight thing. And we often say, I don't know why I've become so impatient. I don't know why I just react to everything. I don't know why I so much read in between the lines. Even the unspoken things impact you so greatly, so hugely. I want us to go back and find a place to label it. Um, and then there are times that, and psychology teaches us that there are easy emotions for people to go to. Some people easily go to anger, and some people easily go to sadness. What is your own easy emotion? Like, do I go to anger and I just take it out on everybody within the system? Or do I become really sad and I just shut down myself? I want us to think about that also. And then we get to burnout, depletion, where your cup is running dry or almost dry. Emotionally, physically, mentally, you are exhausted. You feel depleted. And then you struggling to get that connection you've always had with people. You're just asking yourself, I don't know why I cannot connect with people anymore. Are we thinking burnout in that moment? You're unable to keep up with all of those things that you've been able to do in the past. You're running on an empty battery. It's almost going out. And then we kind of like, I cannot afford to not, stand up to my responsibility. And we just keep going. Even when we're on empty, we keep going, we keep going. Probably until we're not able to go in anymore. Like nature sets in and you're like, oh yes, you're breaking down now. But I want us to think about how we can break the cycle, how we can break the loop and restore our own capacity. Um, you're not meant to carry everything. That is not how we are built as people. Emotional labor, the needs, the emotions, everything, you carry it on yourself, and then now you are depleted. Where do we stop? How do we tell ourselves, Botany, it is time to stop? Take a break now. Remember we said from the beginning that they tell us to take a break. But I see it as we don't take a break until we get to this point, until we get to the burnout point. That is when we learn how to take a break. But I truly want us to see the essence of taking that break before we get to that point where we have burnt out. Number one is developing this awareness of who you are. And this is a very hard question. As simple as it sounds, it is also a very big one. I don't know if any of us, I wouldn't say we should raise our hands, but if you have ever done this exercise of asking yourself, Botany, who are you? And you begin to write it down, and you begin to write it down. And even if I give us that, exercise to do right now as you're listening to me, I want you to take a moment to just ask yourself, who am I? And begin to write down the things that come to your mind right now. Who am I? What comes up for you? Are you able to notice your strengths, your weaknesses, your feelings, your emotions, your needs, and your limitations? And in the process of breaking the loop from emotional labor to emotional burden and then to burnout, we are thinking about boundaries. People have talked about boundaries. I am 100% sure that this is not the first time. And I'm sure that some of us, we have even spoken to people about setting boundaries. How do you protect your time? How do you protect your energy? How do you protect your emotional space? What are the things that you have put in place to protect yourself? That is what boundary is. It is first protection than any other thing. And then who are the people in your support system? Remember that we talked about the caregiving system and we talked about you. And you in that system also includes your support system. And so who are the people in your support loop, if I could put it that way? Who are the people you could go to ask for help? Who are the people who would not allow you do it alone? Who are those people? Who are those people who will hold your hands when you feel, even when you get burnt out or you feel overwhelmed? Who are your safe spaces, or where are your safe spaces where you can truly sit down and say, you know what, I am angry right now. You know what, I don't even want to do anything right now. And they're just sitting down there and listening to you and saying, how can I help you? How can I hold your hands through this season? Do we think of respite also? Taking true breaks, not the kind of break where you are actively thinking about what you're going back to. When you go on vacation and you're thinking like, oh my God, I am going back to 1 million emails by the time I'm getting back to work on Monday morning. I have taken this 1 week break, but there is work waiting for me. But true break is really break where there is no work, where there is no responsibility, because you have a system in place. Some person or some people are attending to what you should be attending to while you are taking that break. And so it is break indeed. Do you have such people you can trust? Are you building a system that truly gives you a break? How do you care for your body? What does your body need? Have you taken the time? Have you taken the time to identify what your body needs? And not just the generic, you need to drink a gallon of water a day. You need 8 hours of sleep. You need to take 10,000 steps a day. What does your body need to survive? What does your body need to recover? What does your body need to carry the burden that it is carrying? And what other things fuels your heart? Is it your faith? Where do you get filled up? What are the other practices? I know that maybe for a few of us, it would be our faith, our connection with God that fills our heart every time to say, I have a place where I have a place where I can connect, with my faith, with God, so that I feel filled and then I can pour into other people. And when we break this cycle, we achieve a healthier, version of ourselves. You have renewed energy. There is emotional balance in place of emotional labor. There is sustainability and, increased capacity in place of emotional burden. And then there is a stronger self to care for others in the place of burnout. It's okay to help yourself know that you are valuable and you deserve care too. Think about it as, if I don't take care of myself, who will? Being cared for helps you keep showing up for others. And so while you're caring for others, you also need caregiving. And I have mentioned values, at the beginning of this presentation. And most of the caregivers that I have sat in front of them to talk to have had their roles entangled into their values. There is always that constant, desire, even up at this point, because we have been preconditioned that we have been conditioned to think that way. I need to be needed. But we don't ever think if we have been valued at the same time. Or I need to be there for them. I need to show up for them. I need to support them. You're constantly needed. I recently watched a movie on Netflix. I think the radioactive, can't remember what the name is, something about radioactivity. And it was like a pandemic, in a country. And then there was this professor who was in charge of the organization that, was monitoring or was in charge of making sure that, all these radioactive substances are adequately managed. And then he was at the center of managing this crisis. And he sat down with one of his subordinates and said, I have never felt more needed than I am right now in my entire profession. But the irony of it is I have never felt more helpless in my entire life. So there is constant, call from people, and our own heart, our soul reaches for that too. I want to be needed. I want to be needed by people. But what is the trade-off? What is the consequence of being needed all the time? This man had always been needed in his profession. He's a professional. Everyone is looking up to him for his advice, his professional advice, and, professional decision making. But he's also here helpless, and he doesn't even know where to go to from that point. And lives were depending on. And so I want us to think about, I don't just want to be needed anymore. I just don't want my children to need me. I just don't want my husband to need me. I just don't want my parents to need me. I just don't want my siblings. I just don't want to be the one they would call all the time to say, we need something, and I have to spring into action and provide that. I want to be deeply valued. I want to be seen beyond my role or my responsibility as a caregiver. I want them to know, to value my presence. I want to also receive compassion. And I also want to be recognized and appreciated, that I am not just a source that keeps giving, but I am one who's deeply appreciated, who is seen and heard at the same time and respected. And so when we begin to move from I want to be needed to I want to be valued, we create connection, we create support, and we create this sustainable caregiving system. So I want us to shift our minds from, oh, they need me, to they should value me. I talked about being seen and heard. Many times we put up that front to say, I am strong, I can do all things, mommy is okay, mommy can handle everything. But there is that cost, there is, the tendency that people see that thing that we have put into the fore, we are pushing to the fore, the strong self, and they assume that that is truly our reality. But the truth is, we are breaking apart. But nobody sees it because we have not, put ourselves in that vulnerable space to be able to show that you also have needs. And the cost of being unseen is that emotional exhaustion that I talked about. It's the resentment that I have mentioned and the erosion of your own identity. Being unseen adds to that emotional burden. And so when you are telling people that I cannot do this right now because I don't have the capacity, it is not weakness. It is you helping them to see that you are also human and you have your limits. And you are teaching them that it's okay to sometimes choose yourself and say no. Like even when you know that, oh, this is something that I can do or that I should be doing. Are you checking in with your battery level? Like, where's my battery level right now? Should I take this on and deplete myself? Or should I conserve my battery so that I could find a source to plug myself in and be better able to help them in the future? Emotional suppression also. Everybody thinks that you are the best person in the whole wild world. There is no problem that they bring to you that you cannot solve. You are so understanding and caring. You are accommodating. You tolerate everything. Oh no, we don't even know what to buy for Auntie Bola because she has everything, She has everything all together. She does not need anything. But is that sustainable? Does Auntie Bola have needs? Are there truly things that she's not speaking, she's not saying, that other people could stand up and take off our plate? And so when we begin to show up as, I have needs too, and people would know that, oh, you're human too, and there is something that we can contribute to you. We shouldn't just be taken away from you. We should also be given to you. Even when it's very small, they say a drop of water makes a mighty ocean. And so even if they're adding drops to you, they are giving something back. I also thought about talking about selflessness and self-neglect. What does healthy selflessness look like? Giving with limit and including your own needs. That is what selflessness is about. You're giving from a full cup. You see, the guy, let's say, for example, that wine glass that has a sauce pouring into it from the bottle would be called a philanthropist, like would be called a selfless person. But that selflessness is not without a source. That person has a full glass first before they can pour into others. And that is when they are called, oh, she's so selfless. She gives of herself. But you have a constant source, that you're feeding yourself from. That is selflessness. You give with love, you set boundaries, you take breaks, you ask for help, and you honor your own needs. That is selflessness. Self-neglect is you keep giving. You keep giving You feel guilty when you're not able to give what you don't have. It's not just what you have right now. You feel guilty when you're not able to give what you don't have or what you don't have enough of. And then that cycle continues to the point where you're becoming a shadow of yourself. That is no longer selflessness. That is now self-neglect, which is you modeling the wrong thing to other people, or you showcasing the strengths that you don't have. You're not being true to yourself. Now let's talk about the belief that drives this this self-neglect that I talked about, that drives the overload. I mentioned it earlier, the iconic adverts that I watched growing up. If I don't take care of them, who will? I heard it. Oh, you had the eldest. You should be able to, accommodate this. Oh, you had the mom. You should be able to take care of your children. Oh, you had the boss. You're responsible for your subordinate. You had the subgroup leader. You had the departmental leader, and you have to take all those responsibilities now. There is so much pressure that is placed upon us, and there is no time to rest, even if we genuinely want to rest. And then there is no support because we are placed in this very high and mighty position where other people think that we don't need help. But I want us to think about the need to release control today, that it's okay not to have control. And this is one thing I have, started working on my own self, that we have been conditioned to always have control of situations. Like, oh, I need to have this under control. I need to have this under control. And then it has facilitated or even increased this, this unconscious pattern that we have to keep giving, to keep giving, to keep giving. But are there times where I can truly say to myself that it's okay. I don't have a say in this situation, and that's fine. I don't have control over the situation. I don't want to hold control over the situation, and it is fine. We may pass harm onto others while we are thinking that we are helping. I have seen a new trend in, my work with parents right now, particularly parents of older children, where children become, old enough or capable enough to take care of themselves. And they don't even look back to appreciate the parents who had carried that burden of caregiving for them. And one thing I have heard with sitting down with younger people is, oh yeah, my parents really bore the burden. They provided for me, they paid my tuition. But they also created this pattern of abuse that was unintentional because parents were overwhelmed. They often took it out on children. And it felt like, but I am doing everything for you. But children carry that scar with them. As much as the physical needs are met, the emotional needs and the emotional trauma that caregivers who were running on empty provided for their children was greater than the care that they provided. So they did more harm than good. And we don't want to fall into that category of parents who are truly meeting the needs of our children, but we are also at the same time damaging our children or causing more harm. And so we want to be more intentional about that right now. That even if there are times that I cannot provide as much as I should be providing, but I am intact. I am not causing harm to this child, then it's fine. We're finding that balance. And it comes with awareness. Without awareness, caregiving can become over-controlling. You're controlling everybody around you, all in the name of, I am the caregiver here. We are being driven by our own internal needs that we have not paid attention to. And we constantly nagging to say, you guys are not even appreciating me because you truly don't feel appreciated by these people. And can we also take a step back to say, how am I contributing to this absence of appreciation of my effort? How am I unintentionally causing harm to these people? Or how am I unintentionally harmful to these people, despite the fact that I am their caregiver? And it is time for us to stand up and break this unconscious pattern. Because unconscious patterns are like the air we breathe in. We repeat what feels normal for us. We repeat what we see our parents do. And it even becomes more harmful, not just for the people, but for ourselves. So this is my call to you to become more intentional about your caregiving, more intentional about creating that balance. It is important for you to separate your role from your identity. You are a caregiver. That is a role. You are a person. That is your identity. I am Botemi, and there is more to Botemi that forms my identity. Caregiving is not all about my identity. There is more to me than my role as a caregiver. I must not lose myself in caregiving. I must protect my energy. I must protect my identity. I must protect my capacity, my capabilities, even while being a caregiver. I need to protect my identity so that I can be better for them and be better for me. I must be able to define my limits. What are my limits? I do have limits. And I must make it. Remember we talked about communication within the system. I must be able to communicate those limits to people. And so that I am not teaching my children that I am their all in all. When I have limits, I would not always be able to meet your needs. I have talked about the need for respite. As a caregiver, my life depends on respite. The work would continue. The caregiving role will never end. It doesn't end when they're a baby. I mean, they even need us more when they're a baby. Like, you have to feed them, you have to carry them, they are crying, you have to figure everything out. They become toddlers, you have to clear up and watch them all the time. They become, preschoolers, and you're like, oh yeah, they are coming back home with sickness every now and then. They have flu, they have cold, they are sick every time, and you bear the grunt. And then they become kindergarteners, and then they're like asking you questions. Why? What? I want this, I want that. And the demands are like non-ending. And then they become teenagers. Oh, they are developing their own sense of self. And you want this control so bad, but you cannot do this. No, that. And you're struggling with them all the time. Oh, and then they become, adults. And you're like, oh, I have lost control. Oh, they are now choosing to do whatever they want to do. And then they're like, Mom, I don't even care about what you think. And our heart is broken. Like, I lived all my life taking care of you. And now you don't even see me anymore. That is the story that I've heard from most caregivers. And it breaks my heart. But how can we prevent that? How can we break that loop right now, where we are co-creating with the people we are caregiving or we are caring for? That we are a system and we need to do it together. I cannot do it by myself. Search for your own pocket of respite. Take breaks where you can find it. Demand breaks. Demand breaks. Make a demand for breaks. Your quiet time, your short work, asking for help from people, asking for your time back. When can I have a little time that fits around your schedule? I mean, if we still want to be very polite about it, But if you, I would say, stamp it and say, I need to take this time and we need to make space for it. Teaching and delegating responsibilities. This is the core of care, the self-care that I want to teach today, because this is one thing that we do not know how to do. And I have seen us talk about it, hypocritically, to say, oh, I think I need to start delegating responsibilities, but we know we don't ever get to that point. We don't ever teach those responsibilities like we should teach them. And it starts from, for example, parenting, for example, that we start teaching our children to clean up after themselves and be able to shift our eyes from, perfection sometimes. That, oh, you pick up your clothes and drop it here. You pick up your socks and drop it here. You pick up your shoes and drop it here. This is sandwich that you can make for yourself. Giving those responsibilities that takes little things off your checklist so that you can buy back this time and just not create a system that solely depends on you. Invite people to participate. In my house, I invite my children to clean up with me. Like, even if I have to do it again. But yeah, I want to see you do it with me. Let's do it together. That is the kind of system I want to build. I don't want to be, as much as they see that, oh, mommy's the adult here, she can do it. But I want to be able to empower them to say, you can be my partner in this. We can do it together. And also when they do the things that I invite them to do with me, I show gratitude. You've been such a good helper today to mommy. Thank you for helping. And then they say thank you back to me and say, thank you, mommy, for all that you do. And it fills my heart. And such that I am not emotionally depleted. This reduces the burden and restores the balance in the caregiving system. Let's talk about intentional self-care habits now. Remember I said I don't want to dwell on the physical and when I started talking, but I do want to talk about it right now. But I want to talk about it from a very intentional standpoint. Be very intentional about your self-care practices. Identify the practices that fill you up. Exercise, being intentional about your nutrition, because that is your body. And your body is the the tool that you're using right now. And so being intentional about taking care of this vehicle, of making sure that your body is able to do what it is expected to do by other people. Nutrition, exercise, adequate sleep. These are not luxuries. They have fuel for caregiving. Again, taking care of your body and maintaining your physical health. Whatever it takes for you to be in health, do it. Remember, health is not just the absence of sickness. It is, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, everything intertwined, everything in one makes you a healthy person. Don't wait until you fall sick. Don't wait until you need a doctor. Take care of your body. If your body breaks down, caregiving becomes unsustainable. You see that question of, if I don't take care of them, who will? Wait until, I'm not saying, do not wait until your body breaks down before you then begin to identify the people that will. Because there are people who will if you're not there. Again, we have talked about the physical. I want us to talk about the internal work of self-care. Face your history. Sometimes caregiving is trauma response. And maybe there will be another day to, really search deep into that. Caregiving is oftentimes, a number of times, a very big number of times, trauma response. The trauma that you have not dealt with from your own childhood. What you saw your parent do is what you're doing right now. So face your history, face your background, face your trauma, challenge it in the face and say, no, this is not what it should be. There is more to me than just, taking care of people. Allowing discomfort. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I don't feel comfortable doing this. And accepting that, oh, this is truly uncomfortable. Reevaluating your value system. Ask yourself, do I feel worthy only when I am needed? Or do I equate love with sacrifice? Do I have to keep giving before people can show that they love me? Because this belief shape how you care. Like, if I say no, will they still love me? If I say no, I don't want to do or meet this need, will I still feel valued and worthy? And then I'm ending with a sustainable caregiving model. Think about respite. When you're thinking self-care, think about boundaries. When you think in self-care, think about awareness. When you are thinking self-care, think about support. When you are thinking self-care, think about identity preservation. You are more than a caregiver. Nurture your own passion. Nurture your own sense of self. Caregiving is not just about doing, it's about being, knowing yourself, sustaining yourself. Being needed sustains others. Being valued sustains you. Respite restores you, and the truth frees you. You can care deeply without carrying everything, and you can remain faithful to your role as a caregiver without losing yourself in the process. I'm concluding with this quote. You were never meant to disappear in the act of caring. True caregiving preserves your life. It honors your limits. It allows you to give without losing yourself. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Dr. Botemi, can you please put that last slide on the screen again? That is awesome. Yes, you can care deeply without carrying everything. I think many of us need to remind ourselves. Please put that last slide back on the screen.
Oh, the last one, yes.
The last one. You are never meant to disappear in the act of caring. True caregiving preserves your life, honors your limits, and allows you to give without losing yourself. That is deep. Thank you so very much, Dr. Botemi, for sharing with us. I would say that this, when we chose this topic, I was thinking, okay, I hope she's not going to just tell us the normal things. Oh, take a break, go sleep, and really she hasn't, because this has been kind of a space, or her style has been to make us reflect and ask ourselves the difficult questions, because many times the burdens we carry as caregivers is because we don't face the facts, we don't face the truth, we don't set boundaries, we don't define limits, and we just allow ourselves to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep being everything to everybody, whereas nobody is being anything to us. Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Botemi. This feels like a masterclass. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to open it up for questions. If you have any question, any comment, that you would like to add, to this webinar. And I would encourage everyone, if you're already on our mailing list, you would get this recording. But if you're not on our mailing list, please send us an email or put your email in the chat, either directly to me or just put it generally in the main chat so that we can send you. I believe everybody needs to go back and listen to this recording, watch it. And, of course, we'll share the slides as well. For me, sitting here, because I have been through a lot in recent times, everything resonates with me. I see some places where, okay, even though I didn't have a name for it, I see some places, some things she said where I say, okay, yeah, I did that. And I see some things where I say, oh, I didn't do that. So maybe that added to my burden, and it just, I feel like I had, no, not I feel like I had. I wish I had listened to this. I wish she had shared this with me while I was going through whatever I was going through. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, please ask your questions or add your insights if you have any insights to share with us, or any question or any comment. And if you don't, I'll start with my own question. So, Dr. Butemi, I don't want to be selfish, but here is my question. Yes, we're supposed to define limits, but how do you do this? Sometimes, as and I know many of us here are Africans. How do you define limits and set boundaries? Because sometimes when you attempt to define limits or set boundaries, people take offense. whether it's
Did I
within the
steal?
family or with
No.
friends.
Oh, yeah. Then I'm coming off I was on a Zoom call. I'm coming off it so that I can record you. No, no, no.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Auntie, for that question, because it is one that I
Please give
struggled
me a
with.
minute. I'm going to mute all and then I will unmute you. Okay.
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 You can go ahead.
All right. This is a really good question, very great question, that one that I have grappled with myself, one that I am constantly grappling with. Because we have a culture where when you say no, it automatically is received with, this negative response, like, oh, even when you have given 1 million times before then, a
Before.
single no could mean that, oh, she doesn't care. Oh, she's a bad person. Oh, she's not a good person. She's just been pretending all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Or one thing I've learned is whether I say no now or I say no in the future, people's opinion would remain people's opinion of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be able to desensitize myself. And that is where shaping identity comes to place. That you sit down and set yourself and know who you are, that your identity is not shaped based on what people think of you or who people think you are, but the person you know that you are. Such that when people say that, who are you, Botemia? I am able to say that I am kind, I am compassionate, I truly care about people, but I also do truly care about myself. And so desensitizing ourselves from what we people say, because people would always have opinion, breaking free from that notion of, oh, I need to maintain this status, because that is how we get burnt out, really. That we're not just, trying to please people. People pleasing is exhausting. It is exhausting. And so breaking ourselves from, what we people think to what really works for me is very important. Like, do I truly have the capability to do this thing right now? And like I said, thinking about the trade-off around, if I do this right now, what would be the cost for me? Like, okay, maybe I even have the capacity to do it. I could squeeze in time, but I would then have to give up something, to do this thing that is required of me. Do I want to do it and deplete myself? Or do I want to conserve that time? Do I want to conserve this resource such that I will be a better person and be able to show up better for them in the future? And I think effective communication also comes to play in this, that we're not just saying no because, oh, I cannot help you and that's it. But truly saying, I am sorry I cannot help at this time because of XYZ. And I know that the burden of explaining, we think about, oh, that's even another burden on itself to start explaining. But I have found effective communication to be very helpful. Like, I am transparent about this. I am open and clear about this. I truly do not have the capacity to do this at this point. If I do it, I will be overstretching myself, and that would have more great consequence for me. I could do it for you right now, but I would not be happy doing it for you. I would rather pass this time and then be better, able to help you in the future.
Awesome, awesome. And you're very right. Sometimes, people take offense, but we still have to be respectful but firm in saying no. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any other question? You need a tiny bit. See something in the chat. Okay. Oh, okay. Not a question, just some. Okay, thank you for putting your email there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, any question before we wrap up this segment? Does the silence mean that we are reflecting on the things that we heard? I'm giving it 1 minute. I know sometimes people are taking a second or a minute to think about the question they want to ask. So one more question that I have, how do you manage when your adult child or maybe your teenager child, your teenager is pushing back and they don't seem to appreciate, you're already at that burnout. And then it's like they're rubbing salt on a wound when on top of it all, they now act as if, we didn't send you, you put yourself in that situation, mommy, or you put yourself in that situation, daddy. I mean, sometimes you watch Judge Judy and all of those things and you see those kids come, on TV and tell their parents, well, I did not ask you to do that for me. I did not ask you to give me that money. I did not ask you to, do that. And as parents, you're thinking, oh, my life is like this because I did that for you. How do you manage that so that you don't end up having a bitter child and you don't become bitter yourself?
I mean, for people who are not there yet, I mean, for people like me who still have littles, I think we have the benefit of developing that sustainable caregiving system that I talked about earlier, that we are very intentional about participation. We are very intentional about inviting. We are intentional about demanding our time, and we are intentional about open communication also. We are intentional about this feedback system where children are able to openly share how they feel about your caregiving style, about the responsibilities that you are taking on and how you are doing it. And then caregivers are also able to share with children what it takes them or what it costs them to provide, or to meet the needs that they are needing. And so we have an open communication system where children truly see that this is not so convenient for mommy, but she is sacrificing. And mommy does need some time. She needs breaks sometimes. It's okay for mommy to say no to me because that is what she is teaching, that it's also okay for me to say no to other people. And so when we build that system where it is open, we have facilitating open communication, like I said, and we are inviting people to be active participants from the very beginning, then we would prevent, the system where children become unappreciative of whatever their parents had done, and parents feel unvalued, parents feel unappreciated, and then it becomes like a very big issue. But I would say, what do we do when we've had this breakdown now? Like a child is now old and, there is now this big issue, is going back to the drawing board. That again, we do our own work of awareness, of introspection and searching ourselves and owning up to and taking responsibilities for where we made, those mistakes, to say, yes, I truly labored. I cared for this child with everything possible, but where did I go wrong? What did I do? What were those automatic things, the unconscious that I did, to this child, and owning up to it to say, I truly did this. It wasn't intentional. I wasn't aware of it. I'm sorry. Can we start rebuilding? And this, helping that child also realize that they also have a part to play in all of this that has happened. And so everyone taking responsibility, I would say, is the first thing to do. And then also just being intentional about rebuilding, and then defining our roles and responsibility from this point, that we have clear boundaries, we have defined what the expectations and what we expect from one another, because we have now become more intentional about building this relationship. Ruptures are usually shouldn't be the end of a relationship. Sometimes ruptures are essential to rebuild relationship, particularly when it comes to parenting and caregiving relationship. It's okay to rupture, but we need to find a way to repair and rebuild.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you once again for this very, very insightful webinar. I see somebody raising their hand. Miss Adegon, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Botemi, for this. My name is Adenike Adegun, and I just, yes, I'm glad to join this. I just saw it suddenly and I joined like on Botimi's starters, and it's really refreshing. I hear us say something about as a child, you have this responsibility, and kind of is common with it in Africa. They're like, you are the first child, I'm the first child as well. You need to take care of the others. But my question now is to break the cycle. If you know one, because it's like something has been put in us as Africans that you should take care of your kids. I mean, take care of your siblings. If you want to break this cycle and you don't want to feel guilty tomorrow, especially when I've seen parents say, "Oh, I took care of you to take care of your child." How can we break this cycle so that it won't be something that will repeat as parents again? Because it's kind of a faulty mindset. How can we break the cycle so that it won't repeat itself? I think that's just my question. For instance, me leaving my other child with another child, for me, is a no-no because of what I experienced. I think I'm talking from a place of trauma where you have to take care of your siblings. I grew up and I said, this is wrong. I didn't have to do that. Like that's perspective I have. And to be fair with me, I said to me, there is no child that should take care of another. Every child deserves to be taken care of. Like they deserve their toll of love and all of that. So that's my perspective. That's why I think, how do we ensure this doesn't come from a place, it doesn't repeat itself, and like the way I'm feeling, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much, Sister Nike. I think that some of you have even answered that question for us. I think the answer is becoming intentional about breaking cycles. That there is something that I spoke to some friends about some time ago, that, and I saw it somewhere also, that when they say it runs in the family, you say it stops with me. Like it runs in the family, but when it comes to me, it stops. I am going to be the one to put an end to it. I'll start with siblings, particularly with first child, first daughter responsibilities. That yes, parents have placed it upon us to, like, be the one to care for our siblings, be the one to care for the family and all that. But now you have the advantage to choose if you want to or not. And you can choose what is convenient for you. I am not doing it because somebody has placed this role. And at the beginning of the responsibility, I was also talking about the roles that people have placed on us, that, oh, automatically as the firstborn child, as the first daughter, you have the responsibility of taking care of other people. And that's how we grew up. And so automatically we assume caregiving role, we take on responsibilities that are not ours to bear. And so becoming very intentional about that, doing our own work of awareness to say, oh, this wasn't meant to be. I was trained, I was conditioned to respond this way. And so when another responsibility comes up and they're like, who's willing to do this? And it happens at work also, that when they're saying, oh, who is volunteering to do this? You volunteer yourself very quickly without even thinking about it again, because we have been conditioned to think that way, that when there is another call for responsibility, I would intentionally choose to sit at the back. I am not going to volunteer myself this time. Even if I can do it, I am going to give other people the opportunity to do it. When they say, oh, let's contribute X, Y, Z in the family, you're going to say, oh, this is everybody's responsibility and this is not my responsibility. We're all going to do it together, inviting everybody. If we say no, people will push back, like, Antibala was saying, to say, oh, they would say you have become selfish. You have forgotten all that your parent did for you to get to where you are. But when you say things like, you know what, I cannot bear this alone. We all need to come together and do this together. I do have my own needs too. And you are intentional about saying that. You're not saying that because you want them to pity you or anything. You're saying that because you also want to communicate the fact that you have your own limits, to say, I have my own needs too, and I need to take care of myself. And this is not me sounding like I'm selfish, but I want you guys to partner with me. I want you guys to be equal participants. And I do agree with you, Sister Nike, that no child should be, to be given the responsibility of caring for another child. No child should be, made to do that. A child should be able to grow and enjoy their own childhood. We can teach them to support their siblings, but not be responsible for their It is wrong to take out the fault of one child over the other, but you were watching him do it. Why didn't you stop him? No, it is not that child's role, to take responsibility for another child's, whatever another child has done, or even taking care of another child. You can say, oh, can you please help your brother do this? And you make that brother say thank you. Acknowledge the fact that your brothers or your sisters made a sacrifice for you. That should be acknowledged, And also being very intentional about gratitude, also to say, even if a child helps me to do something, I'm intentional about saying, thank you so much for helping mommy. Mommy truly appreciates your support at this point. And also just helping them to know that it's not your responsibility to take care of your sibling. Your sibling should also, you guys should take care of each other if you choose to take care of each other. But it's not your responsibility. So I would say my answer is it stopped with us as parents. I am not going to place that responsibility on my child to take care of their siblings. And I am also going to stand up and say no when it comes to taking care of siblings, to say, I cannot be the only one carrying this burden anymore. I need all of us to stand up and share this responsibility.
Thank you so much, Dr. Botemi. So in wrapping up, I'm going to say two things that resonated with me and that I have used in my journey of being a caregiver, not just a parent, but caregiving for a sick spouse. And number one, define your limits. Define your limits. Know what you can do and what you can do, and seek help when the situation calls for something that is beyond your limit or your capacity. Number two, identify those patterns that can easily lead to resentment. Either you resenting the people you are caring for or they resenting. You identify the patterns. The earlier we identify the pattern, the better we're able to find solutions so that you don't break down while you're, God forbid, I've heard stories of one person in the family was caring for another person. And in the process of time, this person that was caring for the other person got so exhausted, they neglected themselves because their attention was focused on the other person. And unfortunately, they died. While the person they were caring for fully recovered and went ahead to live a fulfilling life. I said to sisters at another seminar that I was a speaker, and I said, and it was to moms specifically, I said, moms, please stay alive to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I said the same to dads. I said the same thing to a single person that is here. Anyone, stay alive to enjoy your own life. Don't die while you're taking care of somebody else. Please. You have to be conscious about that. Don't lose yourself. Dr. Botemi used the phrase, don't lose yourself. Let me put it bluntly, don't die. Don't die while you're taking care of somebody else. And you are not there and the person goes ahead to live. I don't know if I'm, in that particular instance that I know, I don't know how the children feel up till today. They probably resented that parent that is alive because they feel like this other parent died while they were taking care of you. And now you are here and enjoy your life as if nothing happened. You don't want to perpetuate something negative in your family. So let's begin to define things for ourselves and take the decisions, predefined boundaries, predefined limits, so that we are here in the long run and we are here to enjoy life. And we enjoy life in full. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Botemi. We appreciate you. In wrapping up, I'm going to share a few announcements regarding our organization. So give me 1 or 2 minutes, I'll be done. So we've listened to Dr. Botemi, again, very, very well put together session, like somebody put in the chat, very reflective webinar, So I'm going to invite, for those of you who are in Atlanta or in the Atlanta area, we have a special Mother's Day brunch coming up. and it's on the 9th of May. Mother's Day is on May 10th, so we're having a special brunch for mothers. And you don't have to be a mother, it's just for that weekend. It's for every woman, every adult woman. It's time to, to let down your hair, to hang out with your sisters, your friends, to enjoy one another's company, to enjoy some good food. So it's holding on the 9th of May. It's at a event center called Chateau 1870. It's a nice intimate space, and I promise you, you will not regret coming. You can get your ticket. It's $25 per person. You can get your ticket at bit.ly/PRI brunch, bit.ly/PRI brunch. I can put that in the chat quickly. It's from 10 to 1 p.m. Give me a minute. Let me put that in the chat. And our speaker is the world famous Dr. Nike Adeyemi. And then our other speaker, there are two speakers, Miss Valerie Mills. They are both going to share, and it's not a preaching session. It's, in fact, Pastor Nike still told me yesterday, Bola, it's a small intimate session where we are going to pour into one another. I said, yes, you got that right. Because she's like, I'm not preaching. I'm like, no, we don't want you to preach. We just want to hang out. So I'm inviting you, if you're in the Atlanta area, please come join us on the 9th of May. You would definitely have fun. The other announcement is that, yes, we need help. We are growing. We are reaching out to different segments of people, of families, and we definitely need more hands. If you have 2 or 3 hours a week and you're a licensed therapist or counselor, a career counselor, educator, healthcare provider, social worker, and community liaison, any of these things and more. If I didn't list something here and you have the skill, please just send us an email or text me or call me. This is my direct number. We need more people. We are working with young adults. We are working with college students. We are working with high school students. We are working with parents, and it's a lot. So if you have time, 2 to 3 hours a week, even if it's 1 hour a week, we will take it. And you don't have to be at any event that you don't want to be. We don't force people. We just want to enjoy or take advantage of the skills. And then also remember, do not add too much to your plate. We don't want to be the reason why your plate is more full than it or fuller than it should be. But if you have that time and you're willing to help us, please give us a call, send a text or email us, and we'll be glad to discuss with you. Finally, please follow us on our social media pages on Facebook, on YouTube. We have a lot of videos on YouTube from our past events like this, where experts from various fields of life have shared with us. Our YouTube channel is loaded. And of course, on Instagram, send us an email, direct message us. We will be glad to answer you. We'll be glad to share our resources with you. We'll be glad to work alongside you as you deal with whatever you have to deal with. Again, thank you all so very much for joining this event. If you want us to connect with you, you can send us an email. We will share the recording and other resources with you. I appreciate you for spending your Saturday afternoon or your Saturday evening with us. We look forward to seeing you on another call, another event. Thank you so very much. Have a nice evening. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you.